Guys, it's Miss Engel. So today we are going to be working on a drawing. It's called Pointillism. It's also called stippling in some cases. But what we're going to be doing is just what you just saw in that video I showed you. I'm sorry, my dog is here with me, so if you hear some extra snorting in the background, that's him. Here, I'll show you. Okay, anyway, so remember the first thing we always do is write our name, our teacher's name, and then our grade level on the back of our paper. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so I did mine. Okay, so now we're gonna flip it over to the blank side, and this is gonna be your drawing side. Now, as far as what we're drawing today, you can draw anything you want. Like Mr. Seurat did, the artist in the video, he did landscapes. And as you probably know, landscapes are just land. So maybe you've got like a hillside, some sunshine, maybe some flowers or trees, or maybe you do a person. Maybe you want to draw your face or your friend's face. Maybe you want to draw some flowers. It's totally up to you what you draw. So go ahead and do that now. We've got our pencil in our hand, nothing else, just a pencil right now. And just draw what you want. I'm gonna draw a landscape, okay? And try to draw very light. Don't bear down too hard because we're gonna erase our pencil marks at the end, okay? So don't draw too dark. So just for an example, I drew this line right here as like one hill. And then this is kind of a hill in the background because it's behind this hill. So this hill is covering up this hill, and that's why this line ends here, okay? And then I think I'm gonna draw maybe some trees, some sun, maybe some clouds, maybe some flowers up here. So again, it's up to you. This is what I'm doing. So if you wanna do something similar to this, you can do that too, that's fine. And once again, remember to draw very, very light. Do not bear down too hard. And another thing to think about is, like Mr. Seurat, he used dots. He did not use lines. So once we're done drawing with our lines and our pencil, we're gonna go over them with dots and marker. And markers are thicker than pencils are. So try not to get too detailed and too teeny tiny with your drawings. Try to keep them big enough so that when you go in with your marker to make your dots, it doesn't get too messy and crazy. So I just added a flower up here in the foreground. Remember, foreground means the front of your image, right? All the way in the front, closest to us. And then I've also added what I'm going to make a river. So back here, remember, is my background with this hill in the back. So I started really teeny tiny with my river, and it's going down this hill. And then in here, we can't see because it's covered up by this hill. So the river is gonna reappear over here, a little bit bigger because it's in the foreground. And things closest to us are bigger, and things far away are smaller, right? Like my hand gets bigger as it gets closer to you on the screen, and smaller as it gets farther away from me, right? So try to think about stuff like that too, whether you're doing a landscape or a person. Things get smaller as they get far away, and bigger as they get closer to you. There's my sun. I'm kind of making just a silly sun because pointillism doesn't always have to be realistic. Like Mr. Seurat's example, his paintings were very realistic. Yours doesn't have to be. Because it's just dots, you can be really realistic with it when you mix your colors from far away like Seurat did, right? Or it can just be colored dots. And I'll show you what that looks like. But this is my sun, so I did a swirl for the sun, and then I did these squiggly wavy lines for the sun rays, just because I felt like it and I thought it would be cool. Okay, so there's my sun, and then I also drew some clouds, and I'm gonna color them different colors. I'm gonna make it like sunset clouds instead of just plain white clouds with a blue sky. Because again, I feel like it, and we're drawing whatever we want today. The focus is the pointillism, not the drawing, okay? All right, so now that my drawing is finished, all right, I think it looks good enough. If you're not finished, pause the video and you can keep drawing. Whenever you're finished, you can move on, okay? So now that I'm done, I'm gonna pick out some colors that I know I'm gonna want. For example, I know I want my sun to be yellow and orange, okay? So I've got my yellow and orange markers. What I'm gonna do is just make dots instead of scribbling to color in, right? I'm gonna make dots only, no lines, okay? So I'm gonna do the sun and then I'm gonna come back and show you what it looks like. All right, so all I've done so far is make dots where my line was. So if you look really close, you can see my pencil line is still there, but I'm gonna erase that. And you also see I only did dots. I didn't use any lines with my marker, okay? That's all we're doing. Now from here, you have the option to color in with dots. For example, I can color in all this white space, maybe with yellow dots or with more orange dots. I think I'm gonna do yellow dots. Or you can color in more dots in the dotted line you already made. Like maybe I could fill in some of the gaps, like in there with more orange or yellow. Or maybe I use a different color. Maybe I add some red, because remember, red and yellow make orange. So even if I added red, from far away, the sun would still be orange, right? So it's up to you. Normally when I tell you to make art in my class, I tell you to draw first with pencil, and then I tell you to outline it with black marker, and then I tell you to color it in with crayons or colored pencils or whatever you have. In this case, we're not outlining. We're skipping that black outline step, and we're not coloring. We're making dots, okay? So try to stay away from black markers altogether, unless you have something that would normally be colored black. For example, if you drew a penguin, penguin's skin is black, right? So you could use black in that area. But like on my flower that I drew, I'm not gonna outline it in black. Same way I didn't outline my sun in black. I'm outlining in the actual color that the thing is, okay? And we're not even using lines, we're using dots. All right, so I'm done coloring my sun now. So, you can't really tell on the video, but in between each orange dot on my swirl, I put a yellow dot in between. And then I also filled in this white space with random yellow dots. It doesn't always have to be in a line or like you're tracing with dots. You don't have to do that. You can just fill in the color, right? So same thing, I had the pencil lines for where these squiggle sun rays are, but then I just added these yellow dots in the middle because I thought it would look good. You can do that, okay? So now that I'm done with my sun, I'm gonna color in the rest of my picture and then I'm gonna come back and show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, so I'm not quite done yet, but I've thought of something I wanted to tell you. So if you're doing something like hair or water in a river, something that's going a certain direction and you don't know how to show it because you're not using lines, remember you can always make dotted lines. So like our sun, we didn't really draw a line, but we used dots to make a line. So for my river, I'm making my dots in a line. I'm not just making dots all over like I did with my grass, right? So I'm starting up here and I'm making dots in a line in the direction that it goes. So for hair, you do the same thing. So you'd start like at the head where hair starts, and then you'd make your dots going down where the hair goes. And you'd go back up and you'd start again, right? Another thing to think about is, in my example, I've got a sun, right? And sun is light. So think about where the light's going. So on my landscape, if you look really close, the areas closest to the sun, or where the sun would be hitting, I've got yellow and light green. And then the areas further away where there would be shadows, instead of black, I used a mix of dark greens, right? And then I've just kind of scattered all of those colors around and blended them all together. So I've got yellow until right about there. Got my darkest green from here until up here-ish. and I've got the regular yellow green all throughout. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing with my river. So at the tops of my rivers closest to the sun, I'm gonna do this light blue. And then I'm gonna mix it, not really mix, but blend with the darker blue down here at the bottom, right? So then it looks like it's going further away. You don't have to do that, but it's something to think about if you want to. Alright, I'm done coloring now. From far away, like we were talking about, all this stuff appears green, my river appears blue, yellow and orange, sunset colors, and then my flower is red and green. But when you get up close, like I showed you earlier, my green up here actually has yellow, really dark green. It's even got some blue in there if you can look really closely. So like we said, we're mixing colors, okay? And it's all dots. And another thing, like I said, we can do dots in lines. We can do dots in shapes. We can do random scattered dots. Another thing is we can do dots really close together or really spread apart, okay? Like in my sky, I've got light and dark blue, and they're pretty far apart. So the further apart, the more white shows. So from far away, it looks super, super light, if not white, because there's not a whole lot of color in my sky. But from far away, my flower looks really bold and vibrant because all of my dots are super close together, right? So they show up better. There's not as much white paper showing through, so there's more room for the color to show up. So that's another thing to think about, okay? So again, some things to think about: how close or far apart your dots are, what colors you're using together to make a different color. For example, red and blue make purple. So if you use red and blue dots, from far away that area will look purple, okay? You can use dots in a line, you can use dots in shapes, you can use dots to outline, or you can just use dots all over the place. So you've got so many options. The only requirement is that you use dots and no lines, okay? So as soon as you're done coloring, if you've got time, erase your pencil lines, because we don't need them anymore. If you don't have time, that's okay. All right, and that was it. I hope you guys liked this. Feel free to take them home if you want. If not, leave them with me in your class bin. All right, you guys have a good one. I'll see you later.